All right, so today we're going deep on something we all deal with, but probably don't think too much about.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The language of cleaning. You know, all those words and phrases we use for tidying up the house.
I like it. Familiar, but fertile ground for a deep dive.
Exactly. And it's all thanks to one of our awesome listeners who sent in this great resource.
Oh, a listener suggestion.
It's a
Nice.
YouTube transcript from this channel called English Podcast Zone. They do English lessons.
So basically, we're using this real-life language lesson as our jumping-off point. I'm game.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And the lesson itself is a dialogue between these two characters, Marco and Erica.
Okay, Marco and Erica got it.
They're talking about getting the house ready because Marco's boss and her husband are coming over.
Uh-oh, the boss is coming. Sounds like there's some pressure to make a good impression.
You got it. High stakes cleaning.
But
But here's the thing. We're not just going to go over the vocab like a dictionary.
right. That'd be pretty boring.
We're going to dig into the nuances,
Yeah.
the subtle ways these words reflect, I don't know, our habits, maybe even cultural stuff.
The hidden depths of dusting and dishwashing. I'm intrigued.
So right off the bat, the lesson starts with this phrase, such a mess.
Oh, yeah, such a mess. Classic.
Erica uses it to describe the state of their house, right? Clothes all over, shoes.
Ah, the universal signs of a lived-in space.
And it made me think, such a mess. It's kind of more loaded than just like dirty, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely got more oomph than just plain dirty.
There's this sense of like things being out of place,
Yeah.
maybe even a feeling of being overwhelmed, like such a mess.
Totally. It's almost like a low-key complaint, right? A bit of drama added in.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like a mini soap opera unfolding in the living room. And then they get to this word, chores.
Chores, as in the bane of everyone's existence.
Right. Laundry, making the bed, taking out the trash.
The usual suspect.
But then Erica mentions her childhood chore was chopping wood. Now, that's not your typical chore, right?
Yeah, chopping wood. That takes me back. It's definitely got a more, I don't know, rustic vibe to it.
Yeah, rustic. Not something you hear about every day.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder, like, how much the words we use for chores, you know?
How they reflect maybe what's normal in a family or even in a whole culture. Like chopping wood is very specific.
Super specific. Okay, so back to the dialogue. Marco and Erica are getting ready for the boss, remember?
Right, the big dinner.
So they play this first bit of their conversation at, like, full speed, which I gotta say, if you're learning English,
Yeah, that could feel like a whirlwind.
total whirlwind. But even if you don't catch every word, it sets up the scene. They need to tidy up.
Tidy up. Okay, now that's an interesting one. How's tidy up different from just clean, I wonder?
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Tidy up feels more about, like, organizing,
Hmm.
you know, putting things back where they belong.
So it's more about visual order, not just the absence of dirt.
Exactly. Like those shoes. Tidying up is putting them in the closet. Cleaning is wiping off the mud.
Two different levels of effort, for sure. And what's their goal? They want the place to be spotless for this dinner, right?
Spotless. That's a strong word. I mean, it's not just clean. It's like no speck of dust allowed.
Spotless. That's like going above and beyond clean. You know, putting in that extra effort.
Yeah, definitely aiming to impress. They're really putting in the elbow grease for the boss.
They are. And then they bring up this word mall. Now, I just thought that was, the normal word for a big shopping center.
Right. That's pretty standard, right?
But they mentioned that in British English, they usually say shopping center. I thought that was interesting.
It is. It shows how, even when we think we're speaking the same language, there are these tiny variations.
Like little linguistic giveaways. It makes you think about all the different ways people talk.
For sure. Okay, then they moved on to groceries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your basic supermarket stuff. Bread, milk.
Groceries. Yeah, a word everyone knows, right? What's so interesting about that?
Well, they point out all these related terms we use, like grocery store, grocery shopping, grocery list.
Oh, right. So it's like a whole family of words built around this one idea.
Exactly. And get this, they even talk about how, in Canada, grocery store can mean a huge supermarket.
Whoa, really? Like a massive one?
Yeah, like a huge one.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., supermarket is usually for the big ones, and grocery store might be a smaller local place.
That's fascinating. So even within North America, the same words can have slightly different meanings.
Totally. Language is so fluid.
It really is. Okay, so after that first listen, they played the dialogue again, but slower this time.
Which is such a good move. It gives you time to process, especially if English isn't your first language.
It's like hitting the pause button on that linguistic whirlwind.
Totally. And
Yeah.
then comes the fluency builder
Mm.
section, which I love. It's all about saying things in a more natural way.
Ah, so it's like leveling up your conversational skills. Sign me up.
So the first one they talk about is this phrase, I'm in the middle of something right now.
Okay, I'm in the middle of something right now. What's so special about that?
It's a way softer way to say you're busy. Way less direct than just blurting out, no, I'm busy.
I see. It's more polite. Like you're acknowledging the request, but you're kind of busy at the moment.
Exactly. And in the dialogue, Eric is watching TV, which is, a classic I'm busy scenario.
Very relatable. I can't tell you how many times I've used that excuse myself.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's universal. And then talk about this phrase, I'll be there in a second.
I'll be there in a second. Isn't that like a bit of a fib?
Oh, absolutely. No one actually means they'll be there in 1 second.
So what does it actually mean then?
It's more like, I'll be there really soon, but said in a way that, sounds more immediate.
Oh, it's like a little white lie to smooth things over.
Exactly. And Eric even says she uses this phrase all the time. It's one of those things we say without thinking.
Makes you realize how much of our language is made up of these little automatic phrases.
So true. Okay, and the last fluency booster they give is, why don't you?
Why don't you? Now that one does sound kind of suggestive, doesn't it? Like you're nudging someone to do something.
That's exactly it. It's a more polite way to suggest something instead of just saying, can you? Or could you?
Yeah, those can sound a bit bossy, can't they?
Yeah. So instead of saying, like, can you clean the floors? You say, why didn't you clean the floors?
It sounds more like a team effort, a collaboration.
Exactly. It takes the edge off. And after all that, they play the dialogue one last time at normal speed.
Okay, round 3. I bet it sounds way more understandable now.
It really does. It's amazing how much those little explanations help. But then they throw in this totally unexpected curveball.
Oh, what happened?
There's this sudden explosion sound effect. Apparently, Marco's vacuum cleaner had a bit of a meltdown.
Oh, no. Poor Marco. That must have been startling.
I bet. And it's so funny because they then talk about how in American English, we use vacuum as a verb, like vacuum the rug.
Yeah, vacuum the rug. That sounds perfectly normal to me.
To me, too. But in British English, they often say hoover as the verb, like hoover the carpet.
Hoover the carpet. Huh. I've definitely heard that before. Is that because Hoover is a brand name?
That's it. It's like how we use Xerox to mean photocopy, even if we're not using a Xerox machine.
It's so interesting how brand names can become verbs. It's like they take over the language.
Totally. Power of branding.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that little vacuum drama, they make a really insightful point about gender roles.
Oh, tell me more.
So they point out how Marco's super involved in the cleaning, almost like it's turning traditional roles upside down.
Interesting. The man of the house doing chores. Not the stereotypical image, is it?
Right. And they talk about how this might reflect a shift we're seeing, especially in North America, towards sharing housework more equally.
Yeah, more couples dividing things up instead of it always falling on one person. I think that's a positive development.
Totally. And Erica, she even talks about how when she was growing up, her dad pretty much only took out the trash. That was his chore.
So things really have changed, even in just a generation or two.
Huge change. And this whole conversation made me think, even how we talk about cleaning, it's tied to these bigger societal ideas.
It's not just vocabulary, it's a reflection of how we think about family, work, responsibility.
Absolutely. And then they get into this whole section about why cleaning the house is important.
Okay, beyond just the language itself. I'm listening.
So they start with the obvious, right? The health benefits. Like getting rid of dust and germs can help prevent allergies and stuff.
Right, cleaning isn't just about appearances, it's actually good for you.
Yeah, keeping things sanitized. And they talk about how even simple things like sweeping and mopping can make a difference.
Yeah, it's amazing how much dust and dirt accumulate, even if you can't always see it.
It's crazy. Then they move on to mental well-being, which I found really interesting.
Oh, how so?
They talk about how a clean and organized space can, reduce stress and make you feel calmer.
Ah, so there's a connection between our physical environment and our mental state.
Totally. It's like if your surroundings are chaotic, your mind might feel chaotic too.
Makes sense. I know, I definitely feel more at peace when my space is tidy.
Same here. And then, of course, there's the practical side. Like, when things are clean, it's easier to find stuff.
Ah, the joys of an organized sock drawer. No more frantic searching in the morning.
No more frantic searching. And they talk about saving time, reducing frustration, all those good things.
So it's not just about aesthetics. A clean house can actually make your life run more smoothly.
Big time. And then they get into the social aspect, like having a clean house shows respect for yourself and your guests.
Right, it's about making people feel comfortable and welcome, first impressions and all that.
And finally, they talk about safety, like cleaning up clutter prevents accidents. It's a really basic but important reason to clean.
Can't argue with that. A stray toy on the stairs can lead to a nasty fall, so cleaning can literally keep people safe.
It's true. So after making the case for why we should all be cleaning, they actually give us tips on how to do it well.
Oh, nice. So it's like a practical guide to cleaning.
Sort of. And they use all these fun phrases like make a plan of attack, gather your arsenal of cleaning supplies.
Haha. It's like cleaning is going into battle.
Right. And they emphasize starting from the top down, decluttering before you clean, setting a schedule.
All very practical advice. It's like a little cleaning playbook.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they break it down by room. Like in the kitchen, the focus is on the stove, the counters, the fridge.
All the places where food and germs gather.
Right. And in the bathroom, it's the sink, the toilet, the shower, making sure everything's sanitized.
Each room has its own set of priorities.
And even cleaning windows or outdoor areas, it has its own vocabulary. It's all connected.
Cleaning is a whole linguistic ecosystem. Who knew?
I know, right?
Hmm.
And to wrap it all up, they do this English Pod audio review section, which is basically a vocab recap.
Nice. So they bring it back to the language learning.
Yeah, they go back over those key phrases, such a mess, tidy up, spotless, in the middle of something, chores, and groceries.
All the good stuff.
And they give you definitions and example sentences just to really drive it home.
Perfect for cementing that new vocabulary.
So as we come to the end of this deep dive, it's clear that we've gone way beyond just a list of words.
We really have. We've looked at how this language is used in real life, how it reflects our values, our relationships.
And how it connects to bigger cultural shifts even. It's fascinating.
It is. So before we go, I have a question for our listeners. Think about your own experiences with cleaning.
Ooh, good one.
Do the words you use reflect the way you feel about chores? Do you see them as a burden or maybe a shared responsibility?
That's a good one. I never thought of it like that before. And you know what? I'm also curious.
What's that?
Have you ever had like a big argument or misunderstanding that started with cleaning?
I bet we all have. Sometimes the simplest things can spark the biggest debates.
It's true. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the language of cleaning.
Until next time, happy cleaning, everyone.
And don't forget to keep those dictionaries handy, even when you're scrubbing the floors.
You never know when you'll stumble upon a linguistic gem.